His brother Jesus will be graduating on June 4th from the University of Chicago with a computer science and music degree. We are unbelievably proud of the great students that we have. This is some brilliant young man. He is in our ELL migrant program. And so we have brilliant and smart students in every walk of life that we have. And we're just so honored. He's already been to Orlando where they've given him the nice plaque. Hold your plaque up there. Nice. And tonight, I have the very nice letter from the state. This is from Chancellor Jacob Oliva, recognizing Miguel as being our Sunshine State Scholar. And I believe some other folks are going to say some things as well, right?
Everyone knows me. I'm Merlina Brown from Cloiston Middle School. Proud employee from the migrant program, and that's one of the work that we do to help as much as we can. We do everything possible to help the parents and the students so that the students can be successful. So I think I'm going to listen. They are very shy, but they have such a great heart. They are very humble, and their two sons are very, very respectful. So this Jesus is from the migrant program, from a little gift for you as well, as a token of how much we appreciate and we are so proud of you.
Yes, they're humble and obviously very smart, right?
Yes.
Thank you. Give them a round of applause. Just come over here in the middle, bud, and we'll get the board behind us and take a picture. Congratulations. Keep up the good work, man. Okay. Thank you. Students make us proud every day. Thank you all for all your hard work.
Wow. At this time, Mr. Superintendent, do we have any presentations?
Yes, we do. Our presentation tonight is going to be from Central Elementary School to share some accomplishments academically and otherwise. So at this point in time, I will turn it over to the leadership team from Central Elementary. I see Ms. Marquez swinging in the action. Ms. Carter, I bet, is not far behind.
Got it. Thank you, Francisco. Good evening, board members, directors, central staff, parents, and students. We're here to present about our school year so far. It's actually 20, how many days left? 17 or 18 days left till the end of the school year. But we have had a tremendous and exciting school year, so we would like to go through some of our data as well as some of our exciting things happening at Central. So here's our mission and vision. Our mission is to close the achievement gap by preparing all students for success. We don't care where they come from, who they are, what level they're at, what their deficiencies are. We are preparing all students for success in differentiation instruction. Also, it's our vision to continuously improve upon our high academic excellence while also inspiring each of our students to reach their potential in a safe learning environment. Our district goals, this is the first time we've actually had district goals coming from our district leadership. We had a meeting this summer with all of the administrators, and this was something set across the whole district for all of our schools to really work on. And then when we met with our staff in August at at the first day of school for Welcome Back, we presented this to our staff members and our teachers so that we're all on the same page and all having that common goal. Then we presented this to our students so that our students know where we are. So for culture, academic improvement, and literacy, we're going to show you a few slides and information about how we're working on promoting those at Central. So you can see some of our culture. First and foremost, Central is a family. Our staff and our students and families, we're a family, and we protect one another when something is wrong, or we celebrate the good, but we have each other's back, and we protect one another, and we're for one another, rooting there. So you can see some of the things happening. We have rallies that we have for our students and our staff. Our staff get pied in the face for the kids. We have the 100th day of school celebrations. We have a big Christmas extravaganza for our students to celebrate the holidays. We want to make sure that our students are getting the experiences that some may not be able to get outside of Clewiston. And so we try to bring as much to the school as possible. We also have our Avid All-Star students, where each month the teachers pick a student from each class that have not only done well academically, but also just tried their best and been a good student. You see in the middle there's Miss Price decked out. She was directing traffic that morning for us as well, but that was at our Christmas extravaganza. We celebrate our teachers and staff of the year, just all kinds of events at Central. Some of you have been to those, and we just feel like encouraging our students and motivating our students is where it really happens. And then not only our students, but our staff. Our staff is phenomenal, and we work really hard to celebrate them and their achievements as well. So here's our academic improvement, which is our second goal for the district. This is Diagnostic 1 in August to Diagnostic 3 that we just finished. We are very, very proud of our students. We actually have started our reward days for 3rd through 5th yesterday, and then K through 2nd on Friday. So for ELA, we had 17% of our students on grade level at the beginning of the year, which is not the best. 24%. And we went down, Our green was at 26%, and we went up to 67% in the green, which is on grade level, and that's K to 5. Our red decreased 17% and went down from 24% of our students being 2 grade levels or more below in ELA, and we went down to a single digit 7%. So we are very excited about that. That means what we are doing, those interventions we're putting in place, those small group instructions, and our teachers using the new curriculum as well as those small groups, meeting with their teachers weekly as well as during those half-day PDs have been so instrumental for our teachers and students. So kudos to our students as well as our teachers and staff in ELA. In math, same thing. We saw an increase of 57% from Diagnostic 1 to 3. We went from 14% of our students being on grade level to now 71%. So that is huge, and that again, that's K to 5. Our red, which is 2 grade levels below, decreased 18% from 21%, now only to 3%, 2 grade levels below in math. So we are very excited about the data at Central with our students and our staff. We're even more excited because when we compare our data from years past, even those COVID years in there, we didn't have 19-20 in there because we didn't have a Diagnostic 3. But the year that we were 1 point from an A, we were at 61% in ELA, and this year we're sitting at 68% in ELA. As a whole school, math is 67, and now we're sitting at 71. When you look at 3rd through 5th grade, we've increased 9% up to a 56% in ELA, and math is 67%. So we are very, very excited, a little nervous, but we're very excited about the progress and the achievement that our students have shown this year, and our staff have worked so hard.
Hi, I'm Alexis Marquez. I'm the assistant principal. I'm going to talk about literacy, our last district goal, and how we promote that at our school. We encourage and we use the AR program with Fidelity. We set student goals, classroom goals, grade level goals, a school goal, and all of our students and teachers, classes, grade levels have exceeded those goals already, and the year is not even over with. We also do, this was something a little bit new this year, during parent-teacher conferences, we do bingo for books in the cafeteria, so the kids can come, play bingo, win books, teachers, parents can go and have a peaceful conference. We also did Literacy Week this year, and each day we did like a different dress-up day for Literacy Week, and we had Drop Everything and Read. Literacy Night, where we opened up to the public and families came in, we had guest readers. During Literacy Night, each grade had a different activities for reading. We also had a wonderful vocabulary parade. Some of you guys got to witness. Mr. Swindle participated. Great. It's my favorite. Was our second or third one? Our third one. Love it. We also have guest readers. Miss Nelson came and read her book. These are our goals for the continuous improvement model. Student engagement and small group instruction. Like Ms. Carter said before, the small group instruction is very instrumental to our success at Central. We usually started off with ELA, reading. Every grade, every classroom gets 1 hour of small group instruction every day. That changes after each diagnostic, after progress monitoring for the students. Also, we have writing groups in 4th and 5th grade leading up to the writing test. Now that, reading is coming to an end, not to an end, but FSA is wrapping up, we have switched over to math small groups. So it's still an hour every day for every student. These are some of our events throughout the year that we've done. We have open house, our Title I parent nights, our Avid All-Star lunches each month. Dads, take your child to school day, which is always a huge hit. We didn't cause any traffic accidents this year. We have turkey trot, our Thanksgiving feast, the Christmas program, which was amazing this year. We finally got to have it again after 2 years? 1 year? We had our Christmas extravaganza, chili bingo, the bingo for books, our Tropicana speech contest, Literacy Week, the color run, our FSA boot camp days. Those are Saturday boot camp days. We're going to do one this Saturday for math for 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. The next Saturday we're going to do one in science for 5th grade. Our Washington, D.C. trip for safety patrol, our end of the year water days, graduations, our reward days and rallies at the end of each 9 weeks, our limo ride for the FSA 5s, and our end of the year field trip. So every grade has a destination. They have the same one, and all of the kids get the opportunity to go somewhere.
Some things that we're excited about at Central is the perception, security. I see Lieutenant Say here. He has been one of our SROs that have been at the school. We don't have a permanent one, but he has done fantastic, and we love having him at Central. And the culture of our school. Growth, opportunity, and PD for teachers and staff. Those Wednesday half-day PDs have been so instrumental for our teachers, especially with the new curriculum and new standards that we have in place for ELA. And we feel like continuing those next year, it's only a time for our teachers to collaborate and learn new things there as well. Only school, as of right now in the district, we are not a TSI or CSI school by the state. Those are under Title I schools that we don't receive any of those extra supports. Interventions with MTSS have been very effective. Ms. Stolm is our MTSS coordinator, and we feel like we have made some leeway with MTSS, a lot more than we have in the past, with having her and her keeping the teachers, helping them get through that process for our students. So that has been very beneficial. We have met our student data and growth goals for the year already, so we're excited about that. We might have to amp those up for next year. As well as we were awarded as an iReady Super School based on our growth, and I believe for reading we were high performing as well as high growth. We were in that top quadrant for iReady, so that's something that the teachers and students should be proud of there. The continuous family and community support, our parents have been amazing. When we call them to ask them for help within the classroom or a project at the school, they have been great, as well as our community. And then our school garden, this is something new. We have a STEM class, and each child gets to take part of that, and we are so excited. There's some pictures of our school garden, as well as some other things that we're excited about. But at this time, we're going to have some of our students come up and talk about what we've done with our school garden, as well as Ms. Price. She is our teacher for STEM. You want them to turn and talk to you, or turn and talk to you guys?
Maybe we can scoot that back and like give them a sideways where they can get everybody.
There we go, guys.
I'm Ms. Price. I know almost all of you guys. I'm Ms. Busen. I am the STEM teacher. I'm very lucky to have the opportunity to be able to teach this class, and I'm thankful to be back in Hendry County. Thank you, Ms. Carter, for talking me into coming back. I love it, and this is a wonderful opportunity for our students. I brought 4 students that are going to speak, and I have 3 more that we brought you guys a little something that we made from the garden. This is Zayden, Blair, Sophia, and Tyler. Zayden, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Zayden Green. I'm a 5th grader at Central. I would like to tell you a little bit about our STEM class at Central. Our major focus this year has been an agricultural project called Seed to Table. We currently have a 4,400 square foot garden. We built this garden from the ground up, from measuring it, staking it out, and building the garden sections and rows ourselves. It took a team effort from all of us K through 5th grade. We also collaborated with CHS's FFA throughout the year. We would also like to thank the following for their donations to our class: A.G. Hill Foundation, U.S. Sugar, the Closing Garden Club, Green Thumb Garden Club, Christina Howell, Everglades Equipment Group, Helena, and artist and Alan Hammond. Without their donations, it would have not been possible for us to have our garden. A few of my favorite things about having this class is how it teaches us responsibility. I love working in the garden and taking care of the plants that we grow. The best part is when we get to eat what we grew. My personal favorite is the salsa movement.
This is Blair.
Hi, my name is Blair Stone, and I am a 4th grader at Central. A few of my favorite things about STEM is that each grade has their own section in the garden where we all grow different plants, which includes vegetables, fruits, and herbs. I love to learn about the different fruits that we grow. Each grade has grown a different variety of tomatoes, 6 different varieties. Whoever knew there were so many different varieties of tomatoes? We have also grown bell peppers, carrots, eggplant, green beans, cantaloupe, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, cauliflower, lima beans, cucumbers, collard greens, watermelon, jalapeno peppers, dill, lemon, balm, and cilantro.
You're good.
It's a super hard word.
And she's brought some. You want me to read it? Good job. You're doing great. Ready? I love to learn all about the new plants that we grow. And one of my favorite jobs in the garden is to water the plants. The best part is when we harvest our crops and Miss Price cooks the food for us and we get to eat it. Yum, yum.
Hi, my name is Tyler Smith. I'm a 4th grader at Central. I love our new STEM class. My favorite part is the food that we get to eat after we grow it. I want to tell you about a few things that we have eaten this year. We have tried collard greens, jalapeno popper dip, pico de gallo, salsa and chips, broccoli and cheese soup, and eggplant parmesan. Throughout the year, Pre-K and K tried carrot cupcakes made from their carrots. Just last week, we tried stuffed bell peppers. Not something that you would think that kids would like, but 83% of K through 5th students liked it. My personal favorite is the broccoli and cheese soup. I'm always asking Mrs. Price to make it again. The salsa is everyone's favorite.
Hi, my name is Sophia Van. I'm a 1st grader at Central. We have lots of exciting things happening in our garden. We have a bird nest with baby birds in our tomato plant in 1st grade that we have been absorbing for the past 2 weeks. We have honeybees that have made a hive in one of the trees. We have been watching them pollinate the flower in the garden and couldn't left nectar and pollen to take back to the hive to make honey. Just a little fact. Did you know when the worker bee collects nectar, they fly back to the hive and they need help from the other bee? They spit up nectar into another female and another female and another bee until it turns thick like honey. Then the bee spits into the hexagon cell in the hive. It has been so cool to watch and learn about the honeybee. Did you know that 1 out of every 3 bites of food we take depends on pollinators? My favorite thing about STEM class is all the nature that we learned about trying new food that we actually do in the STEM. We got to put on an amazing Christmas program. Miss Price is the ag teacher and the music teacher. We made salsa from the garden for you.
All right, so we have some students that are going to help pass out the salsa and chips for you guys. That's the best part. I think Ms. Price comes in the office and lets everybody try all the food that they made, but they've done a great job and they've had such a good time. We have our little cowboys that like to wear their cowboy boots on Ag Day and tell you all about it, so. Y'all can help us.
Can we have a snack break after this?
You guys go hold up your chips and sauce. Yeah. 1, 2, 3.
As they're passing that out, we'll continue. This is just again our iReady reading data from this year, and this is by grade level. As you can see, we made a plan to attack those classrooms and those grade levels that when we see the data is not where we exactly want it to be or they're not showing that growth, we rearrange everything. So as of right now, this is what we're looking at for reading in iReady at the end of the year. And then we have math. Our math, even when you talk to iReady, when the curriculum associates came, we were so upset with how our math wasn't producing at the beginning of the year and the mid-year, but by the end of the year, our students have shown so much growth. So great job, and kudos to the teachers and the staff. We also had math after school since February, March. Then we have Safety Patrol. Our Safety Patrol went on their trip to Washington, D.C. during spring break, so we have Cody and Jackson, Cody Davis and Jackson Hernandez, that are gonna help us out and talk about their trip. And then Ms. Hayes is one of the sponsors, and she's here, LaDon Hayes, as well as Mr. J, who couldn't make it tonight, but they had a great trip, and we'll let you tell them about it, all right, boys? All right.
Day 1, we're off to Washington, D.C. Our first stop was George Washington's home at Mount Ferry. We then went into D.C. and stopped at the National Archives where we saw the Declaration of Independence, Bill of Rights, and the United States Constitution. We then visited the Lincoln, Korean, and Vietnam memorials.
On day 2, we woke up in snow. Our first stop was a World War II memorial, and then on top of Capitol Hill for a walking tour around the Capitol building and the U.S. Supreme Court building. We then continued on to the Library of Congress for a tour. We then headed to Arlington National Cemetery, where we honored to participate in a wreath-laying ceremony at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldiers. That evening, we visited Iwo Jima, Martin Luther King Jr., and Jefferson memorials. On day 3, Harpers, Ferry, West Virginia. This is a historic village where the Potomac and Shenandoah rivers meet. Then we were off to Gettysburg, where we toured the battlefields where some of our country's most important battles took place.
Day 4, our last day was spent walking through D.C. with a stop at the White House, the home of all our presidents with the exception of George Washington have lived. As we were walking, we saw 2 different motorcades, one going to the White House, which we believed to be the Vice President, one leaving, which we believed to be the President. We also visited the Smithsonian of American History, Ford Theater, and the Peterson House, in which Lincoln died in. We got held up by the FBI and then visited the World War I Memorial Building.
Great job. So we take lots of pictures at Central. We love to post about our kids and what they're doing. This was really an instrumental trip in that, first of all, they gave up part of their spring break, but they learned so much, and it was a packed day from 8 a.m. in the morning till 9 o'clock at night. Is that right?
Well, the first day was from 4:30
In the morning. Till
9:30 at night.
So they were quite busy, but this year they got to experience snow as well, so that was a great experience for a lot of our students. That's it. Great job, boys. Good job. And the last slides, this was something that the district came with the all-in all the time, and we have staff that are all in all the time, students that are all in all the time, and then we can, we will, and we must. CES is pushing forward, so thank you.
Any questions from the board?
Fantastic.
I have one. How long have you been without a permanent SRO? Approximately.
It was in the fall that we lost our SRO.
Anyone else? Mr. Brown?
No, sir.
I would like to just say that, when you think about a school from a district level, the marker of a good school, to create a good school and maintain a good school, you got to have a highly impactful principal with a highly impactful staff. I couldn't be prouder of the Central team and the Central family and what y'all do. Absolutely phenomenal. Every time we step on campus, to the production that y'all do with regard to the academic achievements that you and your wonderful students have. It's evident every time we see you and every time you're here. So thank you for all that you do. I know it's a lot of hard work, late nights, 4:30 mornings, trips all over the place. But the result is obviously you've got some great students, and Hendry County, and we'll be better as a result of what you do. So thank you all very much. Yep.
Okay, I think at this time, we're going to take about a 2-minute break, so if you want to stay for the rest of the meeting, you're more than welcome. If you'd like to take this chance to escape, thank you for coming. Moving along, consent agenda. Are there any items on the consent agenda that would like to be moved to action items?
I have one, but I'd love to let the board comment first.
Anybody from the board have anything? So what would you?
I'd like to pull E and G.
Okay. G was one of the ones I was
Okay.
as well. So.
So we'll move E and G. All right, Mr. Superintendent, do I have a recommendation?
Recommend approval of the balance of the consent agenda.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion by Mrs. Busen, second by Mr. Brown. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Consent agenda is approved. All right, moving on to action items. Action item A, new personnel allocation request.
Wait,
Oop.
we need to go back.
Oh, I'm sorry. What are we
E and
moving?
G. We need to address E first.
Oh, are we not moving them down to action items?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you just want to move them down. Okay.
Well, I mean, we can discuss them now if you want.
I'll follow your lead. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Okay.
May as well would. I'll just move them down, because I already drew my arrows like Ms. Houston taught me how to do. Stay with my arrows. Okay, so going on, action item A, Mr. Superintendent, do I have your recommendation for action item A, new personnel allocation?
Yes, I recommend your favorable consideration and approval of action item A, the new personnel allocation request.
Okay, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mrs. Busen and a second by Reverend Brown. Any further discussion?
Is this for a new VPK class?
Yes.
Okay. All right, that's the only question I had.
All right, no further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. New personnel allocation request passes. All All right, Mr. Superintendent, do I have your recommendation for item B, 2022-23 non-instructional support reappointments?
Yes, I recommend your approval of the 2022-23 non-instructional support reappointments as printed in the agenda.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Reverend Brown and a second by Ms. Houston. Any further discussion? Or is it right? Or was it Mr. Vasquez or was it? Oh, I'm sorry. Motion by Mr. Vasquez. He sounded just like you in my ear.
You sound like me.
Well, I did rename you last time. Any further discussion? None. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Non-instructional support reappointments for 22-23 passes. All right. Mr. Superintendent, do I have your recommendation for action item C, resolution half-cent sales surtax?
Yes, I would, if I could have just a moment of groundwork to do for this before we get started. This item is the half-cent sales tax that we have been discussing for several months now. The half-cent sales tax purpose is to strengthen our capital outlay with regard to the expenses that we have in our school district. We know that growth has occurred exponentially on the west side of our district and is actually straining our capacity and starting to strain the capacity a little bit on the east side of the district as we are having growth show up here for the coming school year as well. Another thing to consider is that the cost of every commodity that we touch has risen in the past 12 months. Electric, all of our insurances, health insurances, facility insurances, the cost for our dual enrollment students at FSW is almost doubled. The fuel, y'all all know what fuel has done. FRS is going up by almost $750,000. Bus costs are higher. Portables went from about $80,000 to about $160,000 this year. The contractors that we use obviously have to raise their prices to cover the fees that they have so that they are still profitable and a viable business. And every supply material that we use also has risen in cost. Some of those are not necessarily capital, but I'm trying to lay the groundwork that the expenses that we have has risen exponentially to the point to where we are struggling to keep up with the exponential costs that are rising with our district. And we've talked about that several times. We know that because of age, we are also in a situation where we need two schools. And in order to do that, there are some costs associated with that, even in the use of the Special Facilities Use Fund that the state has. Ms. Cox, over the past several months, actually has been preparing you for the exponential cost and that we do have, and giving you some examples of some of the things that we do need the money for, such as a new roof at LaBelle High School, buses, and renovations at other schools as well in order to maintain the safety and the educational integrity for our students. We also have lost the capital millage and some of the capital monies that we receive from the state. And so amidst the rising expenses, we are losing money as well as the PICO funds, which at one point was available for the district to use for building and renovation of funds. The half-cent sales tax is the fairest and most evenly distributed tax that we have as a mechanism today. If you think about how taxes are collected, when people pass through Clewiston, if they just stop for a tank of gas or they stop by a Walmart or anywhere else, they all share in the cost of this half-cent sales tax. So it's not just a local person paying this tax. It's not just folks who own land paying this tax. It's everyone who has any purchase within the state. On the website, Ms. Cox and her staff has put up a small graphic to give you an idea of what this tax would look like to us. A typical Happy Meal at McDonald's, the typical family would pay 2 cents more. A sheet of plywood from Ace Hardware would cost you 24 cents more. A Dell Chromebook would cost you $1.30 more. A new stove would cost you $3.99 more. And an automobile would cost you $25 more in Hendry County with this half-cent sales tax. It is also important to note that it is capped at $5,000. So beyond the $5,000, no more taxes on the half-cent sales are collected on that time. So even though implementing a new tax is not popular for any politician to do, we are in a situation that our exponential rising cost has exceeded our ability to continue funding the needs of our school system. I would also remind you that saying yes tonight and voting favorably on the half-cent sales tax essentially forwards this document onto the Board of County Commissioners, where they also would have to vote to extend it to the ballot for the November election, to where our constituents would make the ultimate decision on funding the schools to an adequate level so that we can provide safe structures and modern structures for our children to learn in. So with that in mind, Madam Chairman, at this point in time, I recommend approval of the sales tax resolution as printed in the agenda.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Reverend Brown and a second by Mr. Aswin. Any further discussion?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I do have a question. So if this was to pass, how much of that half-cent sales tax do we actually get versus what is the county going to get out of it? You know,
Yeah,
is there other people digging into that?
no, this would be a school half-cent sales tax.
So what if the county decides to levy their own? And
They already do.
They are already doing that?
They're already collecting theirs, yes.
So is it, theirs is going up on the ballot this year? Or they're already?
No, they're already collecting.
They're already currently?
Yes.
doing that? Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I was just kind of curious about that, if they were going to take their little piece of the pie out of it.
No, this would be a dedicated half-cent school sales tax.
Okay. That was the only question I had. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I appreciate your narrative, Superintendent Swindle. One of the things I caught on there, an example that was given was folks driving through Clewiston or possibly LaBelle and paying an extra half-cent on tax. But I do believe I saw here that gas wasn't included in the half-cent sales tax.
I'm sorry.
That gasoline, energy was not included in that. So I don't know how many of those folks are pulling over and shopping anywhere and generating, or out-of-town folks are actually pulling over off the side of the road, spending their money and generating taxes. I do feel like this is our community is going to bear the brunt of it. We are one of the highest taxed counties in the state of Florida, as it is. We talk about it being too expensive for teachers to live here, and then yet there's a proposal to bring forward and levy additional taxes. When I think about this organization or any organization, I think it's hard for taxpayers to maybe stomach the fact that, yes, we are having an economic crunch within our district, but so are people in their own homes, in their day-to-day lives. And all the commodities that you listed have risen for individuals as well as organizations and corporations. I think that, if I can give an analogy, the way that I explain it is that, so my income, kind of like the school district revenues, my revenues are not increasing, but my expenses absolutely are in my household. So you have to make prioritizations, you have to change, you have to start saving, you have to maybe make some cutbacks, some substitutions. And what I have not seen here is any cutback. One of the things I wanted to ask, I'm going to jump ahead today, the notes I prepared is not what's coming out right now. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about or ask for information is like a sustainability report for our different programs. I mean, I want to know that we are being very, very judicious with our money that we have in hand now before we go out and ask somebody else. Because if we're not willing to make those cuts and make those prioritizations, it's almost, in my eyes, the same as saying, okay, well, my expenses up, my revenues are same, I need to close that gap, so I'm gonna start a GoFundMe account. Except it's not optional, it's you will pay, you will donate to that. And that's the way I see it. I'm having a hard time with a 20-year tax levy. As I stated before, I think tax increase referendum should always occur in general elections. During presidential elections, Hendry County is notorious. There are many newspaper articles written about our low voter turnout. And if this is something that our citizens are going to bear the brunt of, I think that we should be mindful enough to put that in an election that we know is going to have a higher voter turnout than gubernatorial. I know that this, if it passes, it would probably require a concerted campaign of sorts from the district to get their messaging out. Haven't seen anything about an estimated anticipated cost for anything like that. And I just think overall, in one of the poorest counties in the state, that it's just economically tone deaf right now at a time of record 8.5% inflation to slap another tax on any resident of this county.
Any further discussion? Yes.
I realize that it may be added a burden to our constituents, but I don't see no other choices we have. We need one book at the books, right?
Sorry.
High school.
Bell High School.
Go Bell High School.
How many million was that off top of you?
It was 6 million a year ago, so I'm sure.
We have other repair books we got.
Right, right. That's
One we got coming in is not going to be able.
We put off preparing because we don't have funding to do it.
And if we were to sort of try to cut, but we can't cut back on those $6 million.
80% of our budget's in people.
80% there?
80% of our budget's wrapped up in our personnel. Where do you want to start cutting? And I don't mean to say that callously, and I don't mean to feel like we're not being frugal. Ms. Cox and her staff has done a phenomenal job of outlining areas where we can be more frugal, where we don't have to spend, and where we can cut back, and we're doing that. The schools have gone through and positions that are no longer needed, they've gone through and cleaned that up and taken some off the books, and so we are going through cost measures. And that's something we should do every year. That's one of our strategic initiatives. We should be financially fiduciary, and we are doing those. Are we 100%? Probably not, but we are making huge strides and getting there better and better every day.
And pardon me, if I can jump in one more time, Madam Chair. So an example, and I'm not picking on it, but I'm just doing the math in my head. When I can see a picture, and like you said about dual enrollment, I can do the math right in my head and estimate what it's costing. And so one of the issues, and I'm not picking on it was just a good example, but like at Clewiston High School, our collegiate academy, 30 kids, 30-ish, like in that ballpark. So that seems like a well-attended, like a sustaining, I mean, if you're reporting everything right, like this could be a sustaining program, or at least like recoup your expenses, because you still have the same teacher, you still have the same overhead that you would. But in LaBelle, I counted 11. You're not, I mean, and that's the same staffing, resources there, and that is what actually led me to say, do we have programs that are not sustained? Do we have, and that leads me to ask, okay, so, because I see this one, and I say, okay, I know that this one's, you're 11 deep in this particular program. And then I go back and I'm looking at the enrollments, and I don't know if you guys have noticed, like on the bottom of the enrollments, they have the current enrollment versus the fish capacity. And we're not there on those capacities. We've got a space there. So one of the things I'm asking myself is, do we have other programs, classes that have handfuls of kids in it that could be consolidated, or the tough choices that nobody wants to do?
Yeah.
But if it's not sustainable, like how are we going to keep pumping into that and then saying, we're over budget, give us some more money?
Just so you'll know, the fish survey, you can't use that as a marker and say the fish says we've got 600 extra seats, because they count everything from closets to every available space. And our facilities director did exactly what you said. He went through with the principals and said, what about this room here? And so they freed up those rooms and allocated and actually saved about there. We were going to have to buy about 6 portables this year. And because of his hard work in doing so, save us about $1 million in portables that we wound up not having to buy by doing exactly what you said.
Learning all kind of things today. Is that being done at every school?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, by law, we went through an entire fish study for the whole district.
So why would we put in enrollments and then capacity underneath it? Because when you look at the data, when you see something totally different than all I see is what's put in front of me. And that's how I have to look at that data and decipher it. And then when I'm looking at it, or I mean, I don't know if other board members see it that way, but you have your capacity there, it doesn't look. On paper, to me, I don't see the need.
Right, yeah, we wrestled with the state about that fish capacity and how the fish number is misleading, and they'll admit it, and they know it, but by law, they have to measure every claw. There's 2 rooms in the back, and they measured those. You know, that's part of the square footage of this room, so you can put X amount of people in there when that's really realistically not the case when you go to the humans and babies inside the classrooms. So it is what it is. They can't impact it, we can't affect it. And like our facilities director has done a phenomenal job of going through and making sure that every square foot is utilized that can be utilized before we ask for a portable or cry that we need another facility. Absolutely.
Any further discussion? All right. Do I have a motion to approve the resolution passing sales?
You have
Oh,
it.
did I have that? I'm sorry. All in favor? It's been so long. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay, we have motion carries 4-1 with Ms. Busen voting nay. All right, so now we're going to open our hearing. All right, at this time, we'll open the hearing for the proposed policy revisions as advertised. Mr. Superintendent, do I have a recommendation for said hearing?
Yes, at this point in time, board members, I recommend that you approve the hearing for the proposed policy revisions as printed in the agenda.
I'm sorry, was there any public comment? Seeing none. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Busen and a second by Reverend Brown. Any further discussion on any proposed policy revisions? Seeing none. All right, all in favor of approval?
Aye.
Any opposed? None, motion carries. Proposed policy revisions as advertised passes. Now we'll close the hearing. Okay, so now we have what will be action item E, out-of-state travel request. Mr. Superintendent, do you have any recommendation on out-of-state travel request? The
Yes.
Ron Clark Academy?
Yes, I recommend your approval of the statewide, oh, wait a minute. Get the right one. I recommend your approval of the out-of-state travel request to the Ron Clark Academy House Conference.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Reverend Brown and a second by Mr. Vasquez. Any discussion on out-of-state travel request?
Madam Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
So when I was reading the attached supporting documents on this one, I overlooked where this would be paid out of. Is this a federal? Dr. Mundy?
So the Ron Clark is being paid for out of UNICEF funds, correct? So those are funds that the Clewiston Middle School received.
Because of their school grade.
Yeah.
So those are funds specifically allocated for Clewiston Middle School, and that training will help them. One of Ms. Kelly's major initiatives is her school-wide culture, and that's going to help with the house system and school-wide culture at Clewiston Middle School.
And I believe it was already approved in the award from the state.
It was already approved in the state grant that we wrote.
Okay, well, I'm spoiler alert, I'm going to approve it, but there's comments that I want to make. And what I saw on that was a complaint about, or a remark that, you know, they want to build that culture and make it a better environment to entice kids to come to school. And she called out, like in writing, a truancy issue. Now, I don't mean to sound callous, but I feel like it's almost like a Band-Aid on a bullet hole, and the focus, and it's not the schools, it's not individual schools issue, it's a bigger district issue, is the truancy. And how are we enforcing that? And I know like truancy, the impact of truancy is more, I mean, it's obviously academic loss, but also in the FTE calculations, they have count days, and that they are actually counting students and seats. And those habitually truant, I don't know what percentage of them are, the habitually truant are, we don't get paid for them. They don't show up, that we don't get paid. And so I kind of feel like, you know, it's what we're doing for them, the district, the leadership collectively really need to hammer down on that truancy, because they are trying to react to things that, and help a situation there that is a little out of their control of getting them there, of getting those students there. And I just feel like, you know, our truancy efforts, we just have to ramp them up. It's impactful all the way across the board.
We're struggling really bad with truancy. It's been a hit or miss. The court system in Hendry County has almost had a hands-off approach because of the state defunding the places to send students for truancy. They told us that they could do nothing further about it. Then last month, they got a round of funding, and they took 4 students out of homes that were habitually truant and put them in, Oasis House? Is that right? It's the Oasis House in Lee County. And so all of a sudden, they are engaging again and doing that. We've got some really good truancy folks in county now that are really getting after it and dragging kids and parents in. So it needs to be a lot better, I do agree.
So, and I don't think that it's necessarily a reflection of the effort of the truancy officers and what they're doing. I think it's a local policy issue in municipalities and within the county. Did a little research, and they have in some communities a parental responsibility law. And I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. At first, when I first heard about it, I was like, okay, now that's a little bit of overreach there. That's a lot of overreach there. But when I started reading some of these, what you're seeing is making sure your kids are not, certain age groups, they need to be home at certain times, not having the kids have to go to school. And it issues civil fines to people who are not ensuring that their kids do that, that their kids stay away from drugs and gangs and stuff like that. I mean, this is very, I'm just shooting from the hip on this one, but these are, maybe those are some things that we can look at in addressing this ongoing truancy debacle. And that concludes.
Anybody else? All right, then all in favor of approving the Ron Clark Academy House Conference out-of-state travel request?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Ron Clark Academy House Conference out-of-state travel request passes. All right, now what will be action item F, bids for mobile COVID response bus. Mr. Superintendent, do I have your recommendation?
Yes. So, Ms. Houston, you asked the board as well. Do you want to hear your response before I give you my rundown on it?
Just tell me, because I'm confused.
Okay, yeah.
It says mobile COVID thing, and then you open up the documents, and it's a reading bus.
Yeah, right. And so and I do apologize for that. And I'll explain why this one was a little bit short and getting to you, and we didn't wind up with everything here that you needed. But the part, to give you full disclosure, out of the ESSER funds, part of the ESSER funds, ESSER 2 was to capture the students that were not in school, that we lost in school, and to extend learning opportunities to students that somehow we have missed or have dropped off our radar and through the cracks. Several of the districts, and we are kind of working in tandem with some of the districts locally, and what they're doing is a mobile response bus that it's basically a mobile library, and it's got a hotspot in it. It'll have a spot for a said clinic where if we wanted to set up in some of the very remote boroughs that we have within Hendry County and allow the health clinic to be there, as well as register kids for school, find kids who are not in school at events or festivals or in said boroughs. That would be the purpose of this bus. Take it to special events like the Hendry County Fair, the Brown Sugar Festival, or other events as well, so that it could be used there as a tool for Hendry County to advertise what we do and promote reading and literacy amongst the students that we have. So this was to be funded out of ESSER 2. And Ms. Dr. Mundy and staff have been working on this for quite some time. They're getting quotes. All of a sudden, about 2 weeks ago, the state reached out and said, okay, basically anything you hadn't spent in ESSER 2 right now, you owe us back immediately. And the ending time was, we're still several months out from when they gave us to originally spend it. And so they were trying to get this done, and they did have some of these quotes in the hopper and coming to us. But now all of a sudden they moved the time up where if you don't spend it by said time, we're taking it back. And it's way shorter than what they had originally given us. And so that's why you didn't get the complete packet here. The piece that you're missing off of here is saying we recommend you approve this one. And so tonight, what I'm going to ask you to do is a little bit unorthodox, but, and I'll follow the direction of the board. There's $1,600 difference between these two quotes. The problem that we're having is the availability. So by the time we get this approved and get back to them, said bus won't be available. And so I would ask you to approve the higher price one and then allow us to go and negotiate to whichever one we could get. We would obviously start with the lower price one to try to get the one that would be the better deal. Even though it is grant funded, we're still trying to be responsible to those grant funds. They're both pretty much the same bus. It's a big diesel bus. It'll be graphically wrapped to represent Hendry County with pretty much the same library concept inside of it. Again, this is a pretty new and hip thing that's going on around the state and nation. And so this is kind of keeping us current with what's happening there. So having said that, I would recommend that you approve the purchase of the Matthews bus for $329,769.
Great, we have a motion by Member Brown and a second by Mr. Nassman. Any further discussion?
Madam Chair, how many students fall in the category of the ones that we would have to go take a bus and go find? I mean, like, is it a huge amount of kids, or?
Well, the truth of it is it's an undisclosed amount of kids because we don't know what we don't know, well, who didn't show back up, if that makes sense. I know it's kind of odd to say that, but once they left and they drop off our radar, we know who comes back to school, but then where those kids go, are they still here in Hendry County? Are they here and not going to school at all? Did they move to Glades? Did they move to Collier? Did they move? We don't know. What we do know is that we do have, because we find them. And Dr. Mundy's team is actively now, and she's got some prime examples of where her team goes to some of these communities and they find the kids. And just recently, how many did you tell me you registered within the last 2 weeks? They found
Just one family, we had 3 students who have not been in school for 2 months. Left
Yep.
from one county, came to our county and just demo.
right. And that's another good point. It may be our county, but it could also be other transient students coming to our county that don't know where to go, register, when, or anything else.
Liaisons from different counties calling and asking, and home visits, sending advocates out to search, maybe around this area, things like that.
All right, and so you have to pay back ESSER 2. So I have very strong feelings about literacy. I don't necessarily think it's an access to books that challenge kids. I think it's over many, many years we got away from explicit reading instruction and got into the sight word business, and it shows data across the nation. I would love to see ESSER 2 funds put into sweeping changes in early literacy instruction in the district, and I know this is neat and flashy and fun and cool, but from what I don't know if that's going to get the bang for the buck. It'll be a good promotion piece, but as far as going out there and really promoting and driving literacy improvement, I don't see it. I'd like to see our money go through the, I've been advocating for Orton Gillingham and science of reading for a decade now. And I just think that we're possibly missing the mark on that. I think it's, if we didn't have such extensive needs, academic needs. Tell me if I need to miss something. if we did not have these tremendous academic needs, this might be something that I was into, but the academic needs are far and wide, and I don't see that happening. And I'm also concerned about a clinic. Who would run the clinic, a health clinic?
It would just be a spot where a said nurse could go in and give shots or,
Yeah, this was, if I may, this was a specific portion of the grant that was set aside by the state, and it was called Unaccounted for Students Grant. And so they divvied up the larger amount and said this amount is to go for unaccounted for students.
So it's like a...
When I wrote the grant, I put that specifically in the grant and it was awarded that way. So it's not like I took from the lump sum or from academic acceleration portion. It was specific for unaccounted for students.
Dedicated source.
Okay, a dedicated source. All right, well, see, now that changes the game for me.
Just that
I'm thinking like this is all of our ESSER 2 here, and then we're going to carve that out instead of using it for something else. But I mean, it is what it is, I guess, at that point, if that's the direction of the funding.
Okay, any further discussion? All right, let's take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Bids for mobile COVID response bus. All business. All right, board member business. Ms. Busen?
Is everybody prepared? It's a long one. As I mentioned before, I would love to see some numbers, like a program sustainability assessment, to see what each program is costing us and what we're able to recoup through the Department of Education. The DAOF amendment. I keep hearing that we're going to see this. Did I overlook this?
I'm sorry, the amendment?
The DAOF amendment, we keep talking about an amendment that we're going to get signed with, I mean, because we were talking about like the DOA, can I call it K-12?
Yeah.
DAOF.
Yep.
Okay, so the K-12 funding. I know that we said that we were supposed to be getting an amendment from DAOF about the, moving the,
Sorry, I'm just confused. Contractual, what do you mean, or funding?
well, how they are going, the issues with the categoricals.
Oh, yes, yes.
And stuff like that,
Yes.
addressing, that amendment addressing how that was going to get hammered out.
Right,
I was
right.
wondering-
We're still working on that. Ms. Cox, or as early as this afternoon, is still working on that and working with their finance team. And we have a meeting set up with them this month here to hopefully finalize that.
I asked for controlled open enrollment numbers. I got the ones of kids coming into LaBelle High School, but like Mr. Swindle said earlier, even like I feel like we're starting to see impact of controlled open enrollment within Hendry County, both coming in and going out. And so I'd like to see where that flow is and how that's impacting our enrollments. I know we got some stuff back from the summer school question, or I asked for some information on summer school. I've reached back out and clarified. I'm looking for an overall budget and budget sources, number of invited students, anticipated student-to-teacher ratio. I want to know how the district is ensuring standards align remediation during this time, and whether the communicated acceptable measurable outcomes for both the elementary and secondary program, and I'm curious as what instruments are used for pre- and post-assessment. Do you want my note? It's long.
Did you email that?
Yes.
To me? 'Cause I don't-
Yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't see that follow-up email. Would you please resend that?
Yes.
Okay.
We should just do a live Google Doc.
Yeah, okay.
You can just keep up with,
All
I'm
right.
sure you get millions of emails. And then several board meetings ago, I asked for a report for additional pay that we're paying out. I love on our personnel recommendations where we can see the numbers even for federal money, but I'd like to get a breakdown of what we are investing on each campus for like and additional pay for professional development, planning, and stuff like that. And then, of course, the last is the truancy. I'd love to see some truancy data on, I know we get some in our CIM reports, but I would like to see just kind of like where we're at this point. And actually, you know what, I'll narrow it down for you. When they say the 10% of your, what is that? 180 days, you miss 18 days. If you get like 10 days or over, any kids 10 days or over. I just want to see those numbers. It helps me form the picture in my head of the impact. That's it.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. I'm not sure, I'm assuming Mr. Busen is the one that did some fact finding here on the propane buses. I do appreciate that. I would like to see, though, cost comparison. You've got right here what we're paying for fuel for these propane buses, but not our gas buses and our diesel buses. Kind of like to see what those are costing us, so we kind of have a good comparison among the three, if we could do that. And then services as well. What are we paying for a service for a propane bus versus a, for these diesel buses? I know there's what was it you said here? One of them was 8 quarts versus 18 quarts of oil. That's pretty significant, so. Yeah, so, I definitely would like to see a breakdown on some of that, if we could, a comparison between the two. Just to kind of run numbers out there where we're looking at finances and we're talking about money and the district needing money, right? There could be something to look at for sure. So I would appreciate that if we could get some information a little bit more detailed on that.
Before you go on, Mr. Bassman.
Mr. Busen did provide me with some information on the propane buses. I just got back in the office today though, so I will get that out to you tomorrow. I was holding it until I got the rest of the information on summer school, but I'll send it out to you tomorrow.
Okay, yeah, I appreciate it. I just, I don't know if the rest of the board is interested in any of that or not. But
I get it.
it's just some things I think we need to look at,
I didn't have it, I was just
budget
consolidating
concerns.
emails for you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that very much. And then there was mention of portables. How many portables are we thinking that we are looking at needing in the near future?
0. Sure. Because of the good work Mr. Busen has done, we are absolutely having to add some elementary classes. And sure enough, we went and we took some computers out of some rooms, and that was a storage room, and patched the roof and killed the wasp and fixed the air conditioner, and now they're going to use it. And, so they're doing everything they can to have to avoid purchasing portables this year. Number one, because of the exponential cost. Number two, because you can't get them for 6 to 9 months out, which we're okay with because we'd rather not buy them to start with.
Well, yeah, because again, my thought is on that, if we've got to spend $160,000 per portable, I think we need to look at building brick and mortar.
Yeah.
Figuring out a way to.
We're doing everything we can to not buy them and to expedite, being able to do brick and mortar is exactly our mission.
Very good. And then the attorney bill. I was kind of blown away. Would you be so kind as to clue everybody in on why that's what it is?
Yeah, attorney charges too much.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
She's the best deal in the state.
She's living the high now, right?
She'll have some comments tonight.
Yeah, right. Actually, speaking of DAOF, the Digital Academy of Florida, is actually a Hendry County school. And so what gets reported under DAOF is actually a Hendry County reporting school. What gets complained, grieved, or anything else is also a Hendry County school. And so they had a due process hearing with a student and a parent. And so our attorney did an enormous amount of work for that hearing and the preparation and working with other attorneys and actually did it over Google, right? The hearing that it was. So she did a lot of work preparing and then representing the Hendry County School there. DAOF in return will turn around and reimburse us that amount of money that was, that we were billed for them. So I think they've probably already been billed. Ms. Cox.
I do appreciate that, because when I saw a $13,000 bill, I'm like, my goodness. It
Yeah.
kind of shocked me a little bit. We're not used to seeing that big of an attorney bill.
That's right.
So I was just kind of curious about that.
Yes, yes.
Causes.
Good catch. Yeah, it was exponentially high because of something that's extraordinary, but yet covered by our great partners in DAOF.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
That was all I had. Thank you.
The only one I have is the progress of monitoring everything from the state yet.
The new test.
Progress of how we're going to do kids next year.
So yeah, the only thing we do know at this point that it will be administered by Renaissance. Didn't get the contract. Renaissance is one of the platform providers, like equivalent, Already is the one that we commonly talk about, and that's all we know at this point. Yeah, and so here we are, 3 months out from implementing it, and we don't know yet what it looks like, what the format is. We just know that it will be a progress monitoring tool, and here it comes. So we're basically laying the track as the trains are coming.
This is like when FSA came on board and
Yeah.
all the servers crashed.
The good news is, I will say this, is that our schools do a phenomenal job of diagnostic testing children as it is. That platform may look slightly different, but nonetheless, our schools and teachers and students are accustomed to that. They will figure it out, and we will make it happen. That is one thing I can say. They're very resilient, and they're up for the challenge.
I just wanted to say thank you again to all of our teachers. Happy National Teacher Appreciation Week. You guys are amazing. I mean, it takes a village, but this week is your week, so thank you. And second, I just had a question about graduation. Do we know who's doing what, where we'll be this year? I know it's on the same night.
I will be in Clewiston, and Dr. Staley will be in LaBelle.
Okay.
Yes, I have a special graduate myself this year.
You guys will be doing Clewiston meeting?
I suspect.
And then Mr. Scanlon.
Oh, he'll be back.
I don't know.
I'll be back.
He may be the lone LaBelle
Wow.
graduation attendee.
Wow, who's coming to sit with me? That's okay.
Dr. Staley.
I know, I can have Dr. Bird.
Yeah.
I can bring Dr.
Yeah.
Bird, okay, I'm kidding. And that's all I had. So, Mr. Superintendent?
Okay. I would like to piggyback a little bit off of Mr. Brown's comment about the diagnostics. We are just now finishing up. We have some schools that are in the process of finishing up and getting all their data from the iReady. And just as Ms. Carter, she probably didn't toot her own horn loud enough about the great progress that her school has made. And what we're seeing across the board is all of the schools are just making phenomenal gains. And we do believe that it's a concerted effort that is a result of better practices that we're doing, the directors that we put in place, Ms. Allen that is out there every day working with teachers on the pre-planning protocols and the execution of those plans, teachers that are working themselves silly day and night to make these happen, the half-day PDs, and we will send those out. We don't have them 100% compiled, and it shouldn't be much longer, but I will send those out to you, and when you look at them, you're going to be blown away. Ms. Carter was spot on that the growth we've had this year is second to none, and we're very proud, and so we're looking forward to good things, and we're going to springboard into whatever that Renaissance platform looks like as a very high-performing district that's on its way to being one of the highest-performing rural districts in Florida. So I'm proud of that. I'm proud of all the schools and what they do there. The other thing that I would like to mention is that last Friday, just as an FYI, we had 45 Hendry County seniors graduate FSW with an AA degree. They've not yet received their high school diploma, but they already have AA degrees, just so you'll know. Very, very proud of that. The largest group we've ever had, larger than some of the internal Lee County schools and the school system there. So we're pretty proud of how that happened. We are in the midst of testing season. Pretty much today was the kickoff of some of the FSA testing. May is testing month. And so the schools will be focusing every day either on testing or getting ready for tomorrow's testing and whatever that matters. So I encourage everyone that may be watching at home or to spread on social media or whatever platform you have to make sure those babies are rested and prepared and ready to test. And that's right, and they're ready to test. This is very important. These teachers and administrators work hard all year long to prepare for this, and there's a lot riding on this high stakes testing that we're doing. Lastly, each one of you, we placed a RFP for the white building in front of you. This is an FYI only. We're not asking for anything other than informing you that one of the things that we heard last summer through the process of the two-story white building was we need to do something. It's just sitting there. We have a need for housing. We have a need for teacher housing. One of the suggestions that came out of the hearing that we did have was that it could possibly work well as a teacher housing source. I've had a couple of different individuals and businesses step up and say, if it were available, we would like the opportunity to do that locally. And so we're putting out a fair and competitive RFP. It is available now, and it will be on our website in the next couple of days. It will also be in the newspaper. We're hoping to be able to come back to you in June with some type of proposal from said business that you can look at and hopefully make some sort of informed decision of a company that would be able to use that building and transform it into housing for teachers. So that was just an FYI. If you have any questions about it, I can answer them now, or if you want to read it, I know you just got it. So if you want to look it over, that's fine. But really, it was just an FYI to let you know that we are in the process of doing that. That's all I have.
I'm going to have to do a quick rewind, but before I do, do you have anything you need to say to us?
Thank you, Chairwoman. No, I do not.
Thank you, Ms. Collins. I didn't flip my agenda over. We forgot F, A, and B under board member business.
Oh, yeah.
Or Ms. Busen. So Ms. Busen, I'll let you take the lead on A, Florida Prosperity and Economic Opportunity Solutions Summit for May 25th. That's a conference workshop that you would like to attend.
So the state statute says you have to get a board vote and like public acknowledgement of a board member wants to travel out of county. As you guys are aware, I did not renew my membership with FSBA. I wanted to be able to use that for things that I felt were a better fit. And these two conferences, I've been to some Florida Chamber conferences before, and I have found them wildly, not only just interesting, but such good and useful information. I've always kind of felt, with FSBA, it's very broad. It was very hard to kind of figure out how you would try to implement these things back in our county, but like these Florida Chamber, particularly these education ones, they really have you sit down and focus like on your county, on your data, and they drive the discussion from there, like table discussion. So I just thought these are really, really great. I've had fantastic experiences and walked away with really good insight and information. I would like to be able to attend both of them, and would just encourage anybody who is even remotely interested to give it a shot, because it's pretty awesome.
I'm totally interested, but I'm booked both those days. Is this like a monthly thing that they do? Do you know? So
no, they do these learner to earner summits, I think once a year. It's a series though. Okay. And you see how they're kind of in a succession, like a month apart from each other. Right. But they do, I know that before that the commissioners business partner awards, I don't know if you've heard of that one, but they do that. They bring the business community together. They bring tons of elected officials there, and you see people from all different areas of education, early education, up through college. It's amazing.
So like if we was to follow them, or if they're
absolutely, like follow the Florida Chamber Foundation and follow. You can get on their email list, and they send you, just tons of very useful information, even if you don't want to go to training. Lots of articles and things to make you really think.
Can I lump these two together, or do we need to do? Okay, then Mr. Superintendent, may I have a recommendation for Florida Prosperity and Economic Opportunity Solutions Summit, May 25th, and Florida Workforce Summit Solution, June 28th?
Yes, I recommend your approval of action board member business items A and B. How about that?
I like that.
Yeah.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Okay, we have a motion by Reverend Brown and a second by Ms. Gleason. Any further discussion?
I'm sure, what's the cost on that?
It was like $2.99, I think. I think it was like $2.99. per session.
Per session, how many sessions are there?
There's 2 days, one day in Orlando and a day in this chapter.
3,600 plus hotels.
Do you take hotels or you just want to do day trips?
I think these are multi-day. We'll have to look, I mean, sometimes I will show up late or leave early, depending on what the agenda looks like. But I think these are like at least one night of our, but you'd still be paying that and $3,200 with SBA, so.
I've got one question. Will we, get a detailed report on?
Do you want one? Because I would love to give that, a whole presentation. No, you asked for it, you're getting it.
We would like a brief summary of what you can bring back to us to help us.
Absolutely.
Okay, then.
So y'all know she gonna tell us anyway.
I'm gonna tell you anyway. Right.
And we can have it in written form, a nice written log. Negative. Any further discussion?
No, that's it.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Ms. Busen is headed off to some trainings. All right.
You're gonna have to.
We're adjourned.
I'm gonna record it.
Yes.
And I'm looking for all conference.